Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, and safety. All the Akim out there pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth. To the rest of the hopeful elect out there. This is the brother Daryar coming back at you with another one. And came across this post on Instagram. First Canadian Neuralink implants go in at a hospital in Toronto. So, the Neuralink is now here. There was, they were doing implants within the States, and now it's over here. This is from the Neuralink off of their social media. We just completed 2 surgeries in Canada, our first procedures outside of the United States. Yeah, so they've been doing this in the United States. This marks an important step towards bringing our technology to more people around the world. Aiming to and you see Elon Musk, what he tweeted under there, aiming to restore limited sight to a completely blind next year. So this devil is very crafty. This says Neuralink has ties with the University Health Network, UHN in Toronto through a CAN Prime study conducted at UHN's Toronto Western Hospital. This is the first Canadian site for a Neuralink clinical trial where a wireless brain-computer interface, BCI, is implanted to help patients with quadriplegia, do, definitely pronouncing that wrong, to spinal cord injury or ALS controlled devices using their thoughts. The study involves UHN neurosurgeons led by Dr. Andres Lozano and uses Neuralink's N1 implant and R1 surgical robot. So, they're out here. The Neuralink is here in it's here in Canada, and we know what this Neuralink could lead up to, and that's that chip, that's that mark. This could be one form of it. We're not for certain, but this is definitely the devil trying to perform miracles. So I want to start off just straight to the point. Revelation 13 and 16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And I've been watching other brothers' videos on Esau and what they're trying to do, do with their whole digital ID. And you could see it, you could see them, really, going to, make way for that chip. They're gonna do it in the name of health and science, do it in the name of security. It's beneficial to you. So, this stuff is right here. Esau is just, slowly making way for it, you know. It's testing in the United States. Now it's over here in Toronto, Canada. Next it could be London, England, or Pakistan or Australia. You never know. But this devil is pushing his technology. Is going to push it throughout the world because the whole world is going to be tried. It says Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So, the whole world is going to be faced with that test, that choice, whether to bow down to Esau and his system. No one's going to be able, you know, to escape that. Especially, if you're living on the grid, you gotta pay bills, you gotta pay rent, you gotta pay hydro, you got a car payment. Everyone is gonna be faced with that great test, you know, and they're gonna be slick with the way they present it. You know, you can see them on one side, with the Neuralink, you know, trying to perform miracles. Let me get this precept right here. It's Second Thessalonians 2. I'll just start at verse 8 in the NLT. Then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, but the Lord, Yahushai, will kill him with the breath of his mouth and destroy him by the splendor of his coming. This man will come to do the work of Satan with a counterfeit power of signs and miracles, and that's what this devil's doing with the Neuralink, bringing sight back to a patient who couldn't see, or helping helping someone be able to stand again, because they had spinal cord damage, or the sense of touch or hear, you know this devil's doing these miracles. People are going to see it, and more places are going to jump on board to this type of technology. Right now it's still very much in the early testing, but you know that could expand very quickly, very quickly. And we don't know if the Neuralink itself is going to be the one to push forth that chip technology, but it's definitely a form of it, because they're implanting people's brain, with this chip. Verse 10, he will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction, because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them. That's it. People, our people don't want to hear this truth. They don't want to hear what the prophets are saying. They don't want to hear us tell them that, it's all coming to an end. The society is gonna fall. Martial law is gonna be a normal thing. They don't want to hear that America is gonna be destroyed. They don't want to hear that, that doom and gloom is coming. It's on its way. They don't want to hear that, Yahweh Shai is coming to, judge, to kill, to make war with Esau and the rest of these heathens, the rest of these nations. They don't want to hear that. Just want to hear also, some happy, come, everybody's accepted. And that's not the case. This is real. These prophecies are real. This chip, the micro C hip, is gonna happen, and it's already happening. You know, the devil is slowly mandating certain things so that it all just comes together as one, and then that's that chip. You know, everything's on our phone. So from it's now from the whenever it leaves the phone, it's a chip. You know. So 2 Corinthians 2:11, these sayings should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We see him performing his miracles. We see him, saying, it's convenient to to have a chip in your hand. You don't have to walk with a wallet. You don't have to worry about losing your cash. Everything's on a chip. You don't have to worry about waiting in these long lines to renew your driver's license, your health cards. If you lose any of these things, it's all there on the chip. Like that's how they're gonna play it. You know, that's how they're gonna play it, and they're gonna force people's hands. Because once people are not gonna be able to buy nor sell, when someone can't eat, someone can't put a roof over their head. It's the fastest way to give in. You know, that's why we gotta stay prayed up that Yahweh Shem Yahushai keeps his spirit on us to dwell and endure, that hour of temptation. Because everyone around us is going to be getting it. Everyone. Friends, family, everyone's gonna be bowing down to that system. Just like they bowed down to that shot, you know? Damn near, 80% of people I know went and got that shit. Man, I would even say 90. 85 to 90% of people I know got that shit. So how much more so now when you know when you really get pressured into it, when you really can't go to the store. So that's gonna do it for this quick one. On the Neuralink being here in Toronto, Canada. I'd like to close out by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Lord willing, this was edifying. Until the next one, Shalom.